All right, guys. 2 minutes late. Sorry. Everybody settle in. I'm Jay Schmidt. I've been with Keller Williams for the last, I think, 11, 12 years. I'm one of the 3 partners for Houseworks Collective. We sell a lot of real estate. So I'm here today to teach you the most technological way of preparing for a listing. I'm kidding. I'm old school, guys. You're gonna watch me do some things that you're probably gonna roll your eyes at. I'm here to show you how I prep for a listing. Someone gives me a call and says, hey, come meet me. I'm gonna give you from soup to nuts how I do it. I'm going on a listing appointment tomorrow for this address. It's actually a follow-up listing. I met with them over a year ago. They're working with me, so I don't have to worry about any of you people stealing this listing. But you'll be able to see how I prep for it. You'll know what number I'm going to take to my listing appointment. And then when you see it go into MLS, you'll see if I was successful in getting them to agree on the right list price. All right. So I've been advised by my team. I talk very fast and sometimes my brain runs fast. So if I'm losing you, if you have a question, I would much rather this be interactive for the next hour than me talking to you guys. So please, if you have a question, if you're literally like, whoa, slow down, repeat that, no offense taken, fire off questions. Let's try to have some fun. So the property address, guys, that we're going to go on a listing appointment tomorrow is 2042 West Wildwood. So what I do.
You're only sharing your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Did you say Wildwood?
Wildwood in the city of Mequon. So I will tell you guys, I still been doing this for 13 years and going on thousands of listing appointments. When the phone rings, and someone says they want me to come meet with them, it's like Christmas Day. And I used to rush out the door, set the appointment and rush out the door. And then you're like, oh shit. I don't know if they've done anything to the house, what's happened. And my best example is I got a phone call for a house in Whitefish Bay. Got the address, set the appointment, so excited, prepped and ready to go. 3-bedroom, bath and a half showed up. It was a 5-bedroom, 3.5. They did this humongous addition. My approach and the approach our team takes is when we show up to a listing appointment, I show up with my listing folder, with my listing presentation, with my comps, and with my printed out listing contract. If you aren't showing up like this, you ain't ready to go. I can tell you the number of times when I'm in competition and I ask after I give my number, hey, how's my number compared to the other 4 you interviewed? Well, 3 didn't have any price opinion. They're going to get back to me. Oh, sweet. That's my favorite. Be like, well, then that's an agent who doesn't know the market and isn't prepped. I know from the second you called, I had a general price idea. It just took me time to dig in. So remember, when that seller calls you and says, hey, come meet me at my house, take a deep breath. Set the appointment and then say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I can ask you a few more questions so that our time together can be really productive. Sure. Who doesn't want to talk? Hey, tell me, how long ago did you buy the house? And if I'm in front of my computer, I've already pulled up the address so I know if it's in MLS or not. Hopefully it is, because then I've already got a leg up. So tell me, what have you done in the 8 years since you've owned it? Have you done anything significant? I like to be able to pull a lot of information. And then I get them talking so that not only am I learning about the house and trying to better understand it, I'm also trying to qualify what's their level of motivation. So I'll use this house. Over a year ago, got the phone call. They hadn't owned it long, moved from Whitefish Bay to Mequon. I didn't help them buy this. Kind of couldn't quite understand their level of motivation. On the call, finally realized they were thinking about actually doing some renovations to it and then listing in the future. They're moving to Arizona now, so they're ready to go. So these sellers have not done anything. When I met with them over a year ago, it was more, hey, you could do this, this, and this. Here's my contractors, brought a few out, never got it done. So luckily for me, or for this property as we review it, nothing much has significantly changed. So 2042 Wildwood. All right. So here it is in Mequon. So I first do take a look at the property. They purchased it in 2021. I look at things like they took out a mortgage, they didn't pay cash. I always like to go through and I'll pull up the documents from when it was previously listed. I want to understand the condition of the property. What did the previous seller disclose? What information can I pull together to understand what was the property when they bought it? So again, I'm going to look through the lead paint. I'm going to look through earnest money escrow agreement, seller condition. What's the other? Okay, earnest money instruction. So nothing. Yeah. In MLS, I went under just a multiple address, typed in the address, and then I went to the documents tab. So the report tab is here. I went to the documents tab, and this was back from the previous listing.
Reason why you went to multiple address instead of just the search bar?
Old man, 51 years old. Old dog, no tricks. Like, guys, there's a lot of things that I do. I should probably go to an MLS training to be more efficient. So again, I'm going to show you guys the thought process, not the most efficient process, because again, I am an old. Yep. No, there's no secrets. If anything, I should be sitting out here and watching one of the newer agents use MLS and probably feel very poorly about myself. So now I want to look at things like, I'm going to go look at the old pictures. Woo, that is sexy. Again, just getting a feel. Wow, it looks clean, meticulous. I do know that they've done some minimal things to this cosmetically. Okay, so I got a feel for what's going on. Again, I take a lot more time. So when I'm digging into the previous listing, I'm probably spending 30 minutes just getting familiar with what was. So I first know that. Condition report's a really big deal. If there was disclosure about water in the basement, when I show up, I'm going to ask, hey, I noticed that the seller disclosed what's gone on. Because you know that as the listing agent, you should know that. And if there was a past issue that's not being disclosed or hasn't been rectified, you have a duty to disclose. Right. So I've looked through, okay, unfinished basement, all that good stuff. So what I'm doing now is going to start scribbling down some of the salient points. Square footage. Guys, remember, tax info is where I first go to. So tax info has this at 1940. Remember, there's above grade, below grade, and total square footage. Smart agents who are pushing price will only list total square footage, which is above grade and below grade. Be careful. Bank appraisers for traditional basement that's finished but not walkout or windows and all that stuff, you're going to get about $60 a foot on average from a bank appraiser. Whereas above grade square footage, depending on the municipality, a fully renovated flipped house in Whitefish Bay, you could be pushing now $600 a foot. So 1,000 square foot below grade is valued much differently by a bank appraiser than above grade. So make sure, don't take what is listed as total square footage as the be all end all. I pull this up in tax records and I do use that. Okay, Mequon has it at 1940. I'm using that. This is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. I look at things like, okay, both bathrooms are on the first floor. Don't make that mistake of, 2 full baths suite compared to 2 full baths, yet the second full bath's in the basement and there's not a master suite, primary suite. Those are all things that matter. Take a little bit of time to really understand the house so that you're pulling accurate comps, okay? Then the other thing I like to do, since I don't know Mequon like the back of my hand, where is this property in Mequon? And I will tell you, if you're going to a listing appointment and you're not quite sure of the area, talk to an agent in your market center that has some experience. We use a story, an agent on my team, no longer in the business, went on a listing in Whitefish Bay, a neighborhood called Clody Park, which is like the Rodeo Drive of Whitefish Bay, some of the highest price per square foot. Did not specifically pull Clody Park. And what's funny is it was listed by the Style A team for $120,000 more than his suggested list price, and they sold it way over that price. If you aren't 100% familiar with the area, ask someone. You want a second opinion. That's one of the benefits of being a KW is we all share. We'll help you. If you're not sure and you're going on a listing appointment, yikes, be careful. All right, so Mequon. For those of you not familiar with Mequon, that little blue line that cuts through Mequon, east and west of the river changes some value. To get to just on the other side of the river from where this property is, can take an extra 15 minutes. Location within a municipality matters. If you're out west and you're in a subdivision, one subdivision next to the next changes value. So I spend a lot of time understanding this location. My opinion, this is a good southeastern quadrant of Mequon, easy onto the expressway, close to shopping. I like this spot. Maybe it happens to be that I live not far from there. I'm prejudiced. I know where it is now. Okay, so I've understood. They paid $376 for it back in 2021, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, 2021. I jot down all my little notes on the outside of my red folder. I know I'm supposed to just talk comps, but this is my security blanket when I go on a listing appointment. And I'm blown away at the number of times I go with someone and they have nothing to write down on and they're just walking through the house. You're not taking notes when a seller's giving you important information. A lot of times it's not all that important, but I'm jotting down, I'm listening, I'm engaged. I could do a whole separate thing about how I like to take on a listing appointment. But it's my job to gather as much information. So I jot everything down on the outside. What'd you pay for it? What year? Square footage above grade, below grade, total, bedroom, bathroom count. Okay, so I've got all that information. I even put their names on it because I'm shitty with remembering names. And how bad is it when you're halfway through a walkthrough and you're like, Bob, it's Chuck. Hey, if you don't walk in with something, I think you're showing up unprepared and looking like an amateur. Okay, so now we know this is a ranch, southeastern Mequon. How am I gonna figure out comps? Here's what I'm gonna do. Quick search. I'm gonna do active, delayed, pending, and sold. For right now, I'm gonna go back a full year. Depending on how many comps I pull up, if I've got a boatload of comps to pick from, well, then I'm gonna really shrink down that time period because bank appraisers prefer comps that are within the last 6 months, weighted even more if it's within 3 months. So if I'm pulling something from a year ago, shockingly, a year ago is ancient history. So let's just do a full year, see what happens. And again, some of the seasoned agents in the room, like Sarah Dreyer, I'm like, I can't believe I'm showing my antiquated way of doing this.
Judge.
But something works. I sell about $30 million a year. So trust me when I say I think I know what I'm doing. So we went back a full year. We're gonna do Mequon. And what I am gonna do, guys, I don't want to compare two-story houses to ranches right now, if I can. I'm going to try to filter as much in the beginning to see if I can get some really good comps that are comparable. Ranches typically can be more expensive price per square foot than two-story because they're a little bit more compact. Again, there's a buyer demand difference. Ozaukee County ranches, you get a lot of buyers over the age of 50 who are looking to downsize, stay in the North Shore. So I'm going to try to see what I get. And it's not always an exact science. Sometimes I put too many filters in, don't get good comps. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go down. I also know they paid, what did they pay again? Somebody was listening, not me. I'm gonna do from 349 and up, even though I know the property is worth way more than what they paid because the market's moved up. I also though want to potentially catch a couple listings right around their property. Maybe they were the most expensive in the neighborhood. Like, oh boy, well, you paid 370 back then, everything was selling for 280, and you're going to try to get a high number. But so I'm going to go down to 349. I'm going to go all the way up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to architecture and I'm going to put in ranch. I just want ranches. Okay. So based on this, Mequon from 349 and up on the market and sold in the last year, we've got 77 comps. Ooh, that's a lot. I'm going to work with this for right now. I'm going to sort it in my view, the way I like to see it, which starts with active and on the market. Remember, bank appraiser is going to look at 3 active and 3 sold. Yes, ma'am. No, please, someone's.
When you went to sort, can you go back to that? I've never.
I created a sort view. It used to be, I don't know, something changed in MLS or my MLS. Again, I'm showing my lack of tech. I didn't understand the way it went. So I created a sort view that I have it go from list price in ascending order, active, pending, delayed, sold. So I like to see it in that range. If you don't know how to create it, which I didn't either, I reached out to MLS and they sent me a doc.
It works if you just hit the status button.
See, look at this. Again, thank God I am not here to, yes, thank God I'm not here to teach you guys. And I know by the end of this hour, you're gonna be paying that. Yeah. So here's my view. So right now, here's the crazy part, guys. I sorted from 349 and up ranches. The first ranch that's coming up is $475,000. Cha-ching! Ain't nothing for sale. So we're gonna leave it a pretty broad. I can already tell you right now, I think I would probably go in and pull the upper end of the price range down, so I got a little bit more accurate. What I really want to do right now, knowing Mequon, I don't want to dance all over Metro Mequon. For those of you that don't know, I think it's the largest geographic city in, I don't know if it's all of the state or whatever. You can drive a long time in Mequon. Far western Mequon is not as appealing as eastern side of Mequon. So again, if you remember, my little property was somewhere in this general gist. I'm gonna focus quite a bit on kind of what's in this general neighborhood to see what we've got going on. Now, this is where, in the effort of time, I'm not gonna spend too much time showing you how I went through and picked which listings I chose to pick or not. But so let's just say, but again, you click on the dots, and I know how I do this is very old. I know faster ways to do this. But let's just pull up a couple things. And for right now, what I'm doing, I'm gonna just I select a bunch of properties in that general area. Then what I do is I go back over to my list and see, are there some properties that popped up that I didn't select based on geographic area that makes sense to pull in because maybe it's about the same size, maybe it's about the same, vintage of home, maybe it's about the same ugliness that this one currently is. So it's not a exact science. It's a blend of, if I can find 6 great comps of the same vintage in the same neighborhood, same kind of conditions, sweet, I'm done. I don't need to look all over, but I want to spend a little bit of extra time. Also, don't do what I did, which is, yeah.
You spent a lot of time on the house, but what about the drum house?
What I do note, like this property is on almost an acre. I think it was 0.93 acres. That adds some value. I will tell you, sometimes can be a detriment for a ranch in Ozaukee County because a downsizer doesn't want a big lot. But I want to be informed because I want to know if I'm looking at a house with an acre lot and I'm comparing it to a ranch in a subdivision on 0.16 acre, I want to really understand some differences to it. So again, I'm aware of the acreage. A lot of times you don't get a lot of great pictures of the quality of the yard or things like that. Again, I studied these pictures. It was nothing great about the yard. So I'm not overly hung up. I will know the comps. If the comps have a tricked out patio with a gas fireplace and a gazebo and a cabana and a pool, I'll note all that stuff because prior to COVID, pools were a negative. Post-COVID, it's a moneymaker. So I briefly know, I looked at the previous pictures, knew enough that yard was just okay. But I will note in the comps, comparing the comps. Okay, so again, first pass through, I'm gonna pull everything in this neighborhood and then see what, and again, I'm not gonna go through this because it would take too long. I'm studying. Let's just look at, let me find one here. Okay, let's just look at it. So this one's only $350 on ranch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,631 square feet, 1.35 acres. Okay, let's look at some, get out of the way. Let's look at some photos. And I showed this one. I don't know if anybody else showed this one. John Mahler's property. And sometimes again, photos can't always tell. It was a weird layout. 3rd bedroom had no windows in it because they did this in addition. It's quirky. It's weird. Little rough. I think ours is a little bit nicer than this one, but you know what? It's in the general area. I'm going to pull it in as a comp. I don't know what else I'm going to find yet. So in this exercise, I'm going to fast forward because again, I could bore you guys to death, but study the comps that come up. Oh, don't do my mistake. I went on a listing appointment out in Brookfield, pulled my comps. There was a bunch of comps in the subdivision. So I just kind of focused on the last 6 months and I missed the house directly across the street was the exact same build that sold 3 years prior. What I always do if I'm going to kind of more of a planned development or a subdivision, I will pull probably the last 5 years just to see what's going on, because the worst thing you can do is sit at a listing appointment and the seller's like, well, what about the house across the street that sold for X? Well, I didn't pull it. Well, then when you go back to the office, you're like, oh shit, it sold 3 years ago. It's not a comp, but I should know it. I should have known that that property was out there and that it had sold because it's in my seller's RAS. They know their neighborhood. So one recommendation to you, study the subdivision, maybe study the block. If you're in a Whitefish Bay or Shorewood neighborhood, study what's sold on the block in the last few years, just so you know. Okay, so we've gone through, I pulled a bunch of comps, but then I pulled a couple comps outside of the area because I saw a couple that looked good, and poof, after about an hour, I'll spend about an hour pulling comps. I get 11 comps. Look at that, poof, magic. Let's look at the map first. Not quite all in that neighborhood. This neighborhood is a little bit interesting. There's some beautifully done properties. There's some absolute dumps in this neighborhood. It's really weird. It was like an oval, like, so I pulled a few. Now, these out west here, that's really pretty far west. I believe that once you cross over Wauwatosa Road, it's like, Green Acres. I need to, get my horse-drawn carriage out. But what I will tell you is, like, I look at this property. So I pulled that one for 350 right in the neighborhood. And I pulled this guy, which I believe is in a subpar location further out, that sold for 450. 1,500 square feet, one full bath. Okay, how the hell does a 3-bedroom, 2-bath sell for only 350? But then a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath further west in a less desirable location on a smaller lot sell for 450? I don't know, but I'm going to study the shit out of these comps so I know what the reasoning is behind. It isn't because it's beautifully updated. I mean, it looks clean as can be. It looks like it's got some new windows. Kitchen, wow, doesn't that feel kind of like my kitchen? Okay, that's why I pulled it. I really do believe that this is an interesting comp to discuss. So again, let me go back to my list. So here are my 11 comps. First thing I do what's called a CMA in MLS. I'm going to usually I do use selected because I've only pulled 11 of the 77, but for this one I use all results. It's a statistical CMA. And I'm going to view it. Okay. I don't know if any of you have ever used this. I like to use statistics other than just me yapping at a seller for an hour. Well, actually half an hour. If I'm sitting at a table longer than an hour, I've lost them. So what this tells you is of active, pending, sold. Let's just look at this. Let's look at the overall. So let me just quickly pull to the average. With a line here. Average list price was $438,500. Average sold price $443. Average is 7% over list price. Important thing to know. Important to be the economist of choice, that you can talk smartly about what is the market doing. On average, if you're priced right for the condition and quality and location of your home, we should expect strong buyer interest. On average, we're selling 7% over list price. Average square footage. Now, this is where you gotta be super careful, guys. Average, can I make, oh, look at that. Well, let me just, there we go. This average square footage number of 2022, be careful. This is total square footage, not just above grade, okay? And you're gonna see list price per square foot, sold price per square foot, and bingo, this is what we wanna talk about, days on market. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before I even sign this sheet, I'm excited to sit down. We walk through the house. I take my notes, I engage. Be careful how many times you ooh and ah, because every time you ooh and ah on a walkthrough with a seller, their price goes up. And you're ooh and ahhing over their cute kid's bedroom from 1980 that still has mallard ducks and dark green paint. Careful, careful, careful. Yeah.
I missed that. You need stats from a year?
These stats pulled from MLS on the 11 comps that I selected. So it's, and I don't know how they specifically, I don't know well, it's like within the year, it's within just these 11 comps that I pulled. I don't quite know what they say, which is average, high, low, I don't know. I use this as a starting point. I never say, okay, well, this says 235 a foot. Let's go. Here you go. it starts. So what I do, let me show you where I'm really old school. Let me find my, is it here? Yes. No, I thought I pulled it up already. You can see there's nothing good in there. Come on, get out of my way.
Click away from it.
There we go. Shit, where did it go? Okay, we're gonna, oh, my dog's prescription. Can someone go to Costco and pick that up for me, please? Where is it? Here we go. Okay, old school Jay loves paper. So what I'm sitting down so I go through, let me show you guys. If you don't have a pretty listing presentation, shame on you. You best go meet with Lindsay Vranick and get something set up. But here's and I'm not going through it. Here's my quick listing presentation. I leave a printout loose leaf. I do a beautiful bound copy. It gives me something to start with. Yeah.
The end of it.
Smart. If you're good, send that pre-listing appointment or send your listing presentation to them ahead of time electronically. Listen to really good KW agents around the country. They'll ask, where do you work? Let me hand deliver a listing presentation to you. Maybe you send it with a coffee mug and coffee. Like I listened to an agent that did that. I'm like, wow, that's like real estate goals. If you send it ahead of time, you're going to stand out. If they're interviewing 3 people, I can guarantee you the other 2 aren't pre-sending a listing packet. If you want to be really good, if you're newer in the business, if you've got the time, print out your listing packet, have it beautifully bound, do a handwritten note, and stick it in their front door. And say, text them, call them, say, hey, Bob and Susie, I look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday at 4:30. I drop some information in your front door because I want to use our time together on Thursday to talk about you and your goals, not about how great I am. I use humor during my listing presentation because I'm not overly stuffy. That's really good to do. And I'll be honest, I can't remember the last time. It's been a while. I run a little too fast. Shame on me. If you have the time and you can pre-deliver a packet, at minimum, email it. But if you deliver it in the door and you show up knowing what you're doing, you got that listing. I can guarantee you because nobody else is doing it unless you're up against me and I get my shit together. Have a really good listing presentation, guys, and know it by heart because when I sit down and present, I'm sitting across from Mr. and Mrs. Seller and I'm flipping page by page. I'm not reading it and then turning it. You want them to see something, but I'll tell you, another mistake I watch a lot of newer agents on my team do, page by page by page. When you get more comfortable, you know when you walk in, Sarah, do you know when you walk in the door within 15 minutes, if you have a pretty good feeling you've got the listing? And then you sit down for 40 minutes and flip page by page and I watch these sellers' eyes glass over. To quote my business partner, Janine, read the room, Jay, read the room. You sit down, they're ready to rock. Hey guys, I've got a lot of information here. And if you did send it ahead of time, best question to ask, hey, did you get a chance to review my pre-listing packet? The other thing we include, list of improvements, things to know. If you deliver a paper copy and you show up and they've got everything laid out on the dining room table and it's all filled out, this is gonna be the quickest listing appointment because how quickly can I sit down? They're ready to list. Wouldn't it be nice to show up at a listing appointment and know those buyers are ready or sellers are ready to rock? Deliver it ahead of time and say, any information you can get me ahead of time, great, we'll review it when we sit down. So you didn't send it ahead of time. You show up, you walk through. Hey guys, I'm not going to sit here and bore you with how great I am. If you'd like to hear about how great I am, I'll have my mom call you after. But let me just hit on a couple of key points. And again, I've walked through with them. I know what's important. Let me tell you, one of the main things is I know how my competition sells against me. My competition says, oh, Jay takes the listing, disappears and hands it to a minion. No, I don't. I stay on I have 2 jobs on my team to work with my buyers and sellers and to coach and lead the agents on my team. That's it. Yes, I leverage talent on my team, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but I'm here to work for you. So again, I know what my competition's offering in terms of value. I know what they're saying about me and how they believe they're better. So again, when I go on a listing appointment and I get the listing, I do ask, hey, tell me, why did you pick me? Did you hear anything good about the competition? If I didn't get the listing, that's the hardest phone call to continue to have because you want to drop a few expletives, hang up the phone and move on next. They don't know what they're missing. I appreciate that I wasn't the agent that earned the opportunity for your trust, but would you be willing to share a couple of things that I could do better? Because my job is to always improve for the benefit of my future clients. 9 times out of 10, oh, it just, we clicked, it's usually pretty vague, but every so often you'll get some really juicy nuggets. My experience personally, I'm great, and I know I'm great, and I know my value proposition, and I know how to read the room. And I really do believe when I walk in the door, I'm there to serve my client. It's not about me. It's not about my ego. I know how to listen and deliver results for them. My results prove it. If they didn't pick me 9 times out of 10, it's going to be listed for a lot higher of a price. And that's usually why I list it. And no seller is going to tell you, I picked the other agent because they're 100 grand higher than you. You watch it and see, but ask that. If you get the listing, thank you. What did I do well? What was the winning secret sauce? If I didn't get it, tell me, how can I improve in the future? You will become a better listing agent by asking that. Yeah.
What's your favorite nugget that you ever got from somebody who didn't go with you?
Oh, my favorite nugget. Prior to COVID, I despised working with older clients. As you maybe can tell, I run fast. And I had a sweet woman who I was with, Janine, and no, I was not with Janine. That's right. I lost it because Janine wasn't with me. And she just said, she goes, I felt a little rushed. I don't feel like you listened to my needs. I can tell you now, guys, the reality of the market is there's only a few reasons why someone's selling. Death, downsize, divorce, or relocation. It's not luxury moves. It's not convenience. That has to be a really high pain point for someone to leave their 3% mortgage and go on to a 7% mortgage. So most of my sellers right now are downsizers. I have learned, and Annie, who sits in the room, is my teammate. There's nothing more painful than spending half an hour chit-chatting about whatever and chat about grandkids, things like that. But I will tell you, I now take interest in it because I want to listen to it. We had a seller we closed 2 days ago. Yes, well, kind of yesterday because they finally released the funds. This woman, the number of phone calls, texts, and emails that I got during the interview process, and we were up in competition during and after, I now treat every communication with people like gold. So that, my long-winded version, I rushed. I didn't read the room. I've lived in and flipped 34 homes. For me, real estate is a business. It's all about the business. Sitting across the table from someone who raised their 5 kids in a home and are downsizing because they lost their spouse, this ain't about business. This is about heartfelt emotion and a process. So then I refined my listing presentation, slow it down, and give every solution to every concern and challenge that downsizer has. What's their biggest concern, guys? It's not price. Rarely does a downsizer beat you up over price. It's, how do I get rid of 50 years of clutter? I'm worried about an inspection because I know I got you. And that's how I get my listing appointments. I've got a great company that'll come in and help you purge, declutter, sell, donate, toss. Mrs. Seller, if you give me the opportunity to work for you, you're done. You can be as involved or non-involved as you need. So that's why now I'm the king. When a downsizer calls me, let's go. Because I know I'm going to deliver an amazing result for them. And we're going to make it super, super easy. So yeah, I've learned to slow down and really read the room. We talk about our marketing strategy, pricing strategy, pre-sale inspection. We don't list without a pre-sale inspection. It's rare on our team that we don't list with don't have a pre-sale inspection. And for those of you that like to list and aren't doing it, you're leaving money on the table for your sellers. Because how many times have you sat with a buyer and they're like go higher, but what if something on inspection, or they're writing without an inspection just to get it? Well, great. Your seller is now exposed for 6 years after the sale. If the only thing in a sale is a seller's real estate condition report and there is no inspection, good luck. What does that buyer do when they paid way over asking and waived appraisal and waived everything, sold their right kidney, and they moved in and they get a little trickle of water in the basement? They're going to sue that seller's ass. So do your sellers a favor, get a pre-sale inspection done so that your buyers, if they write without an inspection, your seller's protected, because that's really all I care about. I want to protect you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and I want to get you the most amount of money, because in a bidding war and it goes way over asking and you get a home inspection contingency, guess what? It's a seller's market and you've been in the driver's seat. As soon as that home inspection window starts, get in the back seat. We're going for a ride and I don't know how it's going to end. So let's get you in the front seat and stay in the front seat. Do your pre-sale inspection. Yeah.
Hey, Jay.
And how do you share the pre-sale inspection? I have one right now, and like, there's no big things, but there's a lot of little, like cracked sidewalk, electrical outlets. And so I was like, huh, I don't love that there's like all this red, even though it's tiny stuff. Tell me what to do.
I usually don't ask my sellers to, depends on the price. If we are pushing premium price per square foot, then, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's spend, and again, let me get my guy in here. We'll get you a quote to repair everything. But it's rare. It's rare that we ask our sellers to do much. It's usually more of, hey, there's a bowed wall. Let's get a contractor out to get a quote. Roof's at the end of its life. Furnace is older. We're not at an old roof that's completely serviceable and an older furnace and an older air conditioning. Those aren't defects, but it affects the buyer's appetite for purchase. So let's get some quotes in place. Because you know what? I had a property in Brown Deer. The roof was shot. It was at the end of its life and then some. I said, let's get a quote. Mrs. Seller, I think downsizer, lost her husband, super stressed. I think we're going to end up having to negotiate on this roof. So let's get a quote in front of us because I know my roofer is going to give us the best possible price. And let's negotiate from a point of power versus sitting back and waiting to see how bad the quote comes in. Well, guess what? We got multiple offers, turned into a bidding war. The buyer bought without the roof. But at least we know. And the favorite line from every seller is, well, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what's wrong with my house. Sure do. I want to know before we get an offer because we get to be in charge of how we decide to disclose it and or fix it. Yeah.
I work with seniors all the time as well, and so when it helps them fill out the real estate condition report by having a pre-home self-condition pre-home inspection. Do you put that on MLS though?
Question.
Inspection
Yes.
on MLS, or do you just give it to agents that are interested in writing?
We print it out in the home. We put it in MLS documents. And then we remove it once we have an accepted offer before the appraiser gets called. Be really smart about that, guys. Do not leave that in there. Also remember, you cannot direct your seller how to complete the condition report. And I tell that to my sellers up front because that usually is an awkward conversation later. Hey, Jade, should I disclose this? We talk up front. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't have the ability to coach you on how to fill this out. But what I can tell you is, here's how the conversation goes. Hey, Jay, we had this happen. Should we disclose? And the answer is always yes. If you fixed it, or you believe you fixed it, you can say no, and you can put an explanation down below. But I remind my sellers that home insurance claims follow your property. So even though you don't disclose that you had a house fire, when the buyers go to get homeowners insurance, they see that. Let's disclose it. Did you have any home insurance claims? Have you sewer scoped your sewer line? That's a good one, guys, that most sellers don't know. That's a defect. If you had your sewer line scoped in the past for a backup, that's a defect. And if you didn't disclose that and the buyer goes in and moves in and has a problem with the sewer line, be careful. Firsthand experience, sellers had that happen and they got sued and they lost because they didn't disclose it. So I just bring up, those things. But yes, I do put it in. My belief is we are an open freaking book. We want you to know everything, good, bad, and ugly. If there's some things that we need to have quotes for, we'll have them in MLS as well. But as soon as we get accepted offer, we yank it all out of MLS.
Do you also put fixed per seller if they fixed items on the inspection?
I encourage my sellers to give me a one-page document that they want to. I don't put anything down. When it comes, I don't represent anything. My seller is going to represent what they've done. And I do tell my sellers, if you want to fix a bunch of these little ticky-tacky things, that's awesome because the buyers are going to love your house even more. So if you do choose to fix a bunch of things, give me a one-page list of what you've done. Got any invoices? I'll include that. Yeah.
And don't reference the inspection in the.
So I can't advise my clients how to fill out a condition report, but I can tell them in my experience, when a seller references the pre-sale inspection report, in their condition report, because the condition report goes in front of the bank's underwriter, that underwriter can ask for that report. And I've had sellers, even though the buyers didn't ask, remediate asbestos, put a new roof on a house. So again, I don't advise my clients to not reference it, but I advise them of the risk of putting that in there. And by the way, my job as your agent to protect your interest, I make sure that I've got documented proof that that pre-sale inspection went to the buyer's agent.
Jay, I have a question for you too.
Yeah.
What do you yank off MLS after an accepted offer?
Any documents related to the inspection, I take out the pre-sale inspection report and any quotes that we have for any work. If it's written into the offer to purchase that a roof's being done, then you can have that. But guys do that, and it's been lately even more so. The banks, underwriters have been a little bit more ticky-tacky on that stuff. Learn from our pain. Yeah.
Re-inspection report, when would you do one?
Very, very rare. If a seller has bought it within the last couple of years and they don't want to, I have every objection handler for that. Usually the sellers say, well, I don't want to know what's wrong with my house. I'm not going to fix anything. What's the other? Well, they're not going to just accept my inspection report. They're going to do their own. Let me answer those. In my experience on my listings in the last year, two properties did a home inspection after having a pre-sale inspection done. Both properties had been sitting on the market for a long time. So if we price you right and it goes quick, I'm pretty sure 99%, 99% assured, no guarantees, that we're not going to have a pre-sale inspection. I don't want to know. I've already told you that line. Well, yeah, you do want to know because you're in charge. If you find out after the accepted offer, remember, you're in the back seat. We want to keep you in the front seat. And then what was the third one? Yeah, and so they agreed to it. It's important. I one time we do 6% plus a $6.95 fee. I once said, you know what? I'll reduce the fee in half if you do a pre-sale inspection. That was after like 5 times. And I knew this property needed a pre-sale inspection because it was rough. Finally, they agreed to that. Well, they saved some money, so they did it. And we kept them in the driver's seat. Sorry, I gotta go back to comps, don't I? But we talk about importance of pricing. Commission, I'll show you this in front of everybody. My deep, dark secret. I've been told I'm a huge guys hey, we all share profits in this company. We are 654%. We are 6% listing if the buyer is represented by another agent. If I, as your agent, as a listing agent, procure a buyer, whether it's through my marketing, social media, presence online, at an open house, if a buyer walks in and Jay Schmidt represents that buyer, I will go down to 5%. And if you really want to save some money, if you refer me to a buyer who is unrepresented, whether it's before we go live or the 30th day on the market, and that buyer does not have an agent, I will reduce our commission to 4%. Let's do the math, kids. You sign that listing contract to get 3.6%. Will you do it for 4%? And now, mind you, we on our team, we don't do multiple representation. We designate it to another agent on our team. But I will tell you guys, this commission structure has reduced the number of times we have to discount off of 6% dramatically. And when I first used this, I was like, oh, Jesus, like this is just not. But I listened to someone smarter than me who did this. And I will tell you, trust me, it works. Yeah.
It's for if you bring a buyer to the house and do the house.
Yes.
So, you still put your $6.95 on it,
Yep.
all that.
Yep. Yes.
And do you get buyers for that?
Yeah.
I mean, is it working?
Especially for me, especially in the North Shore where most of my business is Shorewood, Whitefish Bay. Everybody knows neighbors. And again, that's the thing. And a lot of times you go on a list of, well, I've got people that my friend's friend or my neighbor or this or that. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you want to get the best price and you want representation. Let's introduce them to me so that we can help you get the best number, which is taking it to market. Don't let that buyer come in now. Let's take you to market. And again, my Elmdale listing in Shorewood, she had 2 people, both were teed up and ready to go. Neither wrote. My seller was so freaking excited and happy about the fact that she could save commission. The best offer didn't come from either of those two. This, guys, if you're struggling with having to discount off of 6 too often, give it a try. Practice your script. It works beautifully well.
Jay, can I ask you a question from Zoom?
Yeah.
The question is, does Jay pay for inspection, and does the buyer acknowledgement of waiving inspection help protect the seller?
I do not pay because it becomes a very legally risky. So again, if I need to discount some commission, again, I had to do it once last year where I took the $6.95 fee and cut it in half so that they saved money to pay for that inspection. I don't like the receipt for that inspector to come from me. I also will tell you, we're very proud of the inspectors that we use. I think we all know there's inspectors out there that work for certain agents that the inspection reports are weak. We don't put a weak inspection report in front of buyers because smart agents know better. I had a pre-sale inspection from said inspector that had active knob and tube wiring. Monitor. No, it's not. It's not a monitor. It's a defect. State of Wisconsin statute is that active knob and tube wiring is a defect, and that inspector said monitor. So make sure you did get a good pre-sale inspection. Okay, and then done. Professional photography, equity experts will fix up your house if you need us to. Trusted vendors, list of referrals, all that good stuff. Again, that was 17 pages. I can usually go through this in about 5 minutes because I'm just hitting on the things that I think are important to my seller based on my walkthrough. Yeah.
Now, I do this, but when you do it, when you fill out the issue break, do you also provide pictures of those?
So let's jump back to what I was here for. I got a little winded. Shiny things. Smart agents, me not being one of them, email the comps ahead of time. If you feel pretty good about what you're doing, email it ahead of time. I don't print out a bunch of one-dimensional pictures because again, if I'm reviewing 11 comps and we've got pages of pictures, it becomes a cluster. Or if you don't want to send all 11, if you feel that there's like 3 really good ones, say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, these are 3 of the comps that we're going to be reviewing today. Take a look at the pictures. Again, is anytime you can get it off of you talking and them engaging, talking is better. So instead of them just hearing you talk about how this house or that house, email those comps ahead of time. That's risky. What if the house is better or worse? Okay, I can shuck and jive. Oh, this house sold for $450 and it's got a fantastic new kitchen. So we got to take some price off to accommodate. So yeah, but if they bought it a few years ago and they've told you what they've done and you feel you've got some good comps, email them ahead of time. I think my biggest obstacle when I first started was I was so afraid to give the wrong number that I didn't engage with them enough. My belief is, and I will say this to them, Mr. and Ms. Seller, don't tell me your price yet. Don't tell me what the competition said. I should tell you my price first as your expert. You don't go to the doctor and tell them what's wrong with you. So I'm showing up telling you what I believe your house is worth. Set the tone, guys. You know what you're doing. Okay, so to answer your question. So I print out the CMA and I usually highlight the overall line. This page, though, I don't do first, but what I do is 1,940 square feet at 419 is 216 a foot, 232 a foot, 242. So all these different price points. This sheet, I put it on the top, but I actually review this after I review the comps. So what I do, oh, look at this. I'm so old school. What does a listing? I know. I know. What happens at a listing appointment when you're reviewing comps? First of all, if you're sitting on a piece of upholstered furniture, you lost it. I never sit on a sofa or a chair. I'm very deferential when I come to a listing appointment. I take off my shoes. Thank you for having me. I'm entering your home. I'm very deferential. Walk through the house, take notes, engage, listen, ask questions. Very nice. But let me tell you something, as we're finishing the tour and we're walking back into the kitchen, showtime, I'm taking over. So a lot of times I'll be like, let's go, sit in the living room. Actually, if you don't mind, let's sit in the dining room. So I'd like to do is be able to show you some comps and some paperwork. And if you won't mind, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you can sit here and here. It's that subtle turn from this was your home, now it's my show. Again, it's not rude. They don't know. But I've now established myself that it's my show. So what I do, I print out the list and I jot down my notes on every single one. I typically have them memorized ahead of time. But what I do is I'm gonna say one. I'm gonna slide over and give them something to look at. So they're not just staring at me talking at them. So what I will show you of these 11 comps, I have 3 properties that I kind of starred. So what I'm doing, the first one up top, newer white kitchen, remodeled bath, finished lower level with bathroom. 475, it's near them, has an accepted offer. I also went in and pulled the history to see how quickly did it get an accepted offer. Was it on the market for 60 days or did it go under contract in 4? It went under contract in 4. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, most likely, based on history, this house is going to sell for more than 475. Know that. Know the information of what you're presenting. Next one on Sunnyside Drive. Hopefully none of these listings are anybody's in the room. Next one on, and again, what I do here, guys, is see how the 2544 square footage, I wrote below it 1734. That's the above grade square footage. So again, I take notes on every single listing. I want to be smart. They aren't watching me kind of look at my notes, so I'm talking about them, pointing things out. Let's get down to the one that matters. Okay, 402. This one's on Colette. Similar dated kitchen. Now, am I going to say it a little bit more eloquently? Because I don't write anything on here. Some agents on my team I know like highlight a couple things on the page, maybe do some notes, but it's for me. It's the detail page for each listing. So I do give them something to look at. This one, again, I wouldn't tell them it has the same dated kitchen, but the kitchen's of the same vintage as yours. It's a smaller lot. Now, this one does have a rec room, and I can't tell you the number of times. So this listing at 1651 is just above grade, and they have a finished rec room, but they didn't list a total number. Shame on that agent. Shame on that agent, because guess what number gets pulled into Zillow and Realtor.com and all the other websites around? The total number. So if this house at 1651 is sitting next to Sunnyside that's showing 2512, that buyer's like, oh, this one's a lot smaller, right? It's almost essentially the same size house above grade. So do yourself a favor, guys. If tax record shows above grade and there's some finished space below grade, list above, list below, and put the total. Do your sellers a favor, because the total number is what gets pulled. A lot of agents love to just put the total number on so that it's not as clear or it gets muddied. I think that's sloppy agent work, in my opinion. Yeah.
So you're saying the, include finished base.
Always, because nope, you can put that field in there in MLS. No, we do above grade, below grade, and total. That total number is what gets pulled all the websites. So I want the biggest number possible that's in line with what other people are doing. Yeah.
Is your price per square foot on just the upper level?
Yes, because what I don't want to do, especially Mequon, North Shore, where I sell, 1,000 square feet in a basement is not the same value above grade. Out in, some of these subdivisions where you've got theater rooms, and now mind you, buyers put a lot more value on a finished basement than what a bank appraiser does. So I want to, and sellers will ask that, well, don't I get more credit? Yeah, you do. The buyers will typically give you more, but what I don't want to do is overinflate your price because of a huge finished basement where the bank isn't going to give you that same value.
So you don't add it at all?
My conversations really are above grade. Then when we're down to comparing comps, well, this one, similar square footage, you don't have a finished basement. They do. They sold for 490. Here's where I think your price should be. So this one again on Colette sold for 243 a square foot. Meadowbrook, 1967, same era. Lots of color, bad color. 1,512 square feet above grade, sold for 297 a foot. 480. The other thing I should mention, see how I underline the list price? Go to the very top. List price, sold price. So what I'm going down here to show is this listed for 362, sold for 402. Listed for 395, sold for 450. Listed for 399, sold for 480. 425, sold for 461. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, anybody can come in here and tell you as an agent that they set the price. They're full of it. Price your property right to attract the most attention and the most buyers, and the market's going to tell you how much your house is worth. If you overinflate it, It's a kiss of death in this market because guess what happens after a week on the market? Buyers call their agent, say, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Why is it still sitting? It could be the best, beautiful, most perfect house. And it's not moving because of price, period. So I want to set that parameter in front of them. I never guarantee an over asking price. But when we get to talking about price, when we do finally start to negotiate, I'm going to continue on. All right, so now I show you the 4 comparable homes, 236 to 304 square foot. Now, 1476 above grade. I should probably be using my clip so you can see where I'm at. 1476 above grade in this comp. This one 1950. That's the same square footage because ours is 1940. Now notice of all the comps, it's the cheapest price per square foot. Price per square foot is a good starting point. If you are just nailing your list price based on price per square foot, be super, super careful unless all of your comps are within like a couple hundred square feet of each other. Because let's look at, so this guy for 1,950 square feet is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch. This one up here, 1,500, that one's a bad one example because it's a 1 full bath. This one's 1,580 square feet above grade, 2 full bath. Sold for 480 and 304 a foot. There is a little bit of a diminishing return as comparable specs, 3-bedroom, like all of these happen to be 3 bedrooms, but as square footage gets a little bit bigger, your price per square foot will drift down a little bit. So remember these numbers, 236, 243, up to 304. Go back to this page. I'm not touching anywhere near that because I do believe this is the best comp, this 1,950 square feet on Woodside Lane, because it's dark and dated, but it's very clean. That is my seller's house. They are meticulous, but holy cow, 1980s called and they want their wallpaper back. So 230, this feels really good to me. And look at that price, 425 list price, sold for 461. I will tell you, my teammate Janine lives by list price on these comps that have sold because one buyer went to that number. There on that one that went for 480, I'm guessing there was probably 15 offers. Only one buyer went up to 480. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you don't want to attract the one hopeful, desperate buyer that's out there. You want to attract the most because how we take it to market, Mr. and Mrs. Sellers. I'm at time, aren't I? Shoot. If you guys gotta leave, I apologize. I'll try to wrap it up quick. We go live on a Thursday. We do a Thursday night open house, Saturday and Sunday open house. We want to attract the most people in the door. But more importantly, I want the buyers that had scheduled showings on Thursday, Friday to come back into an open house, see it teeming with people, even though none of them are going to buy it. So they feel that sense of loss. We put that we're reviewing offers on Sunday at 5 p.m. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your best offer is probably going to come in right away and they're going to come off the top rope and tell you they want an answer right now. Most of my sellers say, oh, we just hit the market. Do I really want to take this offer? Yes. Yes. The adage of the first offer is usually your best. Yes. So again, we have those conversations up front so that when an $80,000 over asking price offer comes in 2 hours on the market and my sellers are like, let's see what else we get. Maybe it's fallen and smacked your head, like take this offer and run. Yes, they may not be there Sunday. There's a reason why, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we do what we do when we take your property to market. It's fear of loss. That buyer that's reacting the quickest and the soonest has that greatest fear, and it's usually your best offer. Yeah.
So if they're saying like the house is like super old and you can't find any square footage, how else do we get it?
I asked them if when they purchased the home, did they take out a mortgage? Did you get an appraisal? Can I see the square footage? Try to pull it through city records. Yeah, it's lucky for me. A lot of times it's in MLS or in tax records because of where I sell. You're right. When you go out west, I just listed a house in Sussex and it was like the Wild West of like, can someone give me some freaking information? So I had for that seller, they had building plans, but the building plans didn't have square footage on it. Be careful. Remember this other, does anybody ever get a question from MLS? Like tax records show 1,900 square feet, but you have 2,100 square feet above grade. We need you to verify that. I am a broker. I don't verify. As you see in MLS, I put other, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. Okay. So my 4 comps here. Yeah.
Janine, like by the list price, do you factor in any appreciation? Obviously, it's not.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
The one thing I did do, and I was rushing to get this together. The other thing I put in here, guys, is when did the property sell? Like, let's say Meadowbrook sold 2 months ago and another one sold a year ago. I want to be able to discuss that. What's interesting here is, okay, so we've got a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath that sold for $450. We got 3-bedroom, 2 bath that sold for $480, 3-2 for $461, and a 3-2 for only $425. Well, why did the $425 with an extra full bath sell for less than the other one? So again, put when it sold. Study these pictures, guys. Study if you really. I would email these 4 comps ahead of time, and these are the ones we're really gonna focus in on. And sellers do know their property. Sometimes the seller is objective and can give you honest feedback about why they think one's better than the other. And you'd be shocked. I've gone through listing appointments before where I come with a range. A lot of sellers are picking the low end of the range because I'm able to demonstrate to them that the market's going to tell you what your price is. As soon as we get one offer in hand, if we get an offer on Thursday or Friday and we're reviewing Sunday, the likelihood of multiple offers coming in goes up exponentially. If Sunday afternoon, we don't have any offers in hand, but we have 4 buyers circling, I'm starting to sweat. Because I want to make sure that we get that one offer, because one offer has babies and then lots of little babies show up. Okay, so list price of these 4 comps went from $395 up to $399. Again, sold price from $425 up to $480. So what would I recommend? What I'm going to recommend to my sellers is price your property to get the most amount of interest. I would recommend $449 to $469 for a list price. I would really like to see your property at $449,900. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I guarantee nothing, but the likelihood of you getting strong offers is very, very high because of the comps. And number 2, if you remember, the other thing I do print out a lot of times, a price range for municipality. If I think this is going to be around mid to upper 400s, I'm going to print out everything in Mequon from $399 up to $500. Everything, 2-story, 1-story, every single family home that's out there, because I want to show them, hey guys, there's 15 houses on the market. Let me just quickly do that. There's however many houses on the market, and guess how many have offers. So if I do a quick search, again, your job is to be the expert. Mequon, and you want to use statistics to take it away from being subjective. So let's just do $399 up to, let's just go to 600. So all of Mequon, there's 11 houses on the market. Oi is right. I watch 4 zip codes every single day, probably 4 times a day. I pull up 4 zip codes, single family and 2 and condo. My 4 zip codes, finally, we got over 200, we're at 208. When I used to do this pre-COVID, we had 500 to 600 houses on the market. Like those of you that are new to market or new to this have no idea how tight inventory is. So when I sort this again by the view I like, come on. So there's 11 houses on the market, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, from 400 to 600. That's a big price range. There is nothing on the market below 475, nothing between 400 and 475. Doesn't seem like much, but trust me, guys, holy shit, there's nothing to buy. So I've got between 400 and 600 to spend in Mequon. I've got 2 houses to pick from. That's it. And how long have these houses been on the market? This one's been on the market for 53 days. Now I want to see. 560. Oh yeah, bad location right by Mequon Road. Pretty, like I think it was a decent flip. I haven't shown it, but bad location. And then this one on Sunnyvale, it's been on the market for 13 days. There you go.
About 37 ones in my neighborhood.
That's it. There's 2 houses to pick from. Both are overpriced. If you price your house right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's going to sell. So how do you feel about listing for $449? Well, let's play the opposite. Oh gosh, we were really hoping for $475. I was hoping for $500. Okay, let's talk through it. If you went to market at $500 and got nothing, and we have to drop price to $469, the buyers take another price drop. If we listed for $449.9 and the only offer came in was at $449, would you sell? Yes. Then we should price it there and allow the market to tell you And again, let me reiterate to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, all the things I'm gonna do for you to prospect a market for buyers for your home. And this is where I'm not gonna give you guys all my secrets, but we do some pretty freaking amazing stuff that these sellers eat it up. We have a very marked approach on how we do it. There's things that we do that no other team does. And we're gonna get your listing. So how does it sound to list for $449,900? Are you ready to go? So now you guys all get to watch and see when it comes to market. What's that again? Bring your buyer. I'm meeting with them Thursday night. I'm hoping, because she said we're ready. Now, does ready mean tomorrow it's in delayed? The other thing too, guys, if you don't use delayed, and you guys can get up and leave. I'm over time, so I don't want to be disrespectful of your time. But now that I'm on a roll, if you don't use delayed, shame on you. Delayed status is the biggest moneymaker for your sellers. Why is that, guys?
Builds up interest.
Builds up interest, builds up demand, allows you to tell the buyer's agent, because good buyer's agents who think they have a buyer for this are going to call you. Hey, Jay, what's your activity? I got more showings than I can count, and I've got 10 fingers and 10 toes. So what reverse prospecting, social media, all those things. There's nothing more frustrating to me as an agent that a great house pops up right into active and my buyers and I have to scramble. I always tell my sellers, you want to use delayed status because the serious buyers have really good agents and those agents are busy. So we want to tell them exactly when they can come and give them time to adjust their schedule. Higher the price point, the higher the likelihood of a relo buyer. The last thing you want to do is flip it live and have that multi-million-dollar seller in California not able to see it in person.
Yeah.
So use delayed status.
You think is the sweet spot for delayed, 1 week, 2 weeks?
I'll take as much time as I can.
Yeah.
I'll take 21 days if we need it. At minimum, our team rules at least a week to get through the weekend. But rarely, I never take it less than a week because I need to get a pre-sale inspection done. That's the other thing too, guys. Don't take a listing. Don't agree to a listing and future date it. It has happened to me 3 times in my career. They agreed to list with me. We did it with a future. This was before delayed status. Did it at a future list date. And guess what? As soon as they agree to work with you, they start talking. All 3 times, a friend or a neighbor bought it. And guess what I got? Yeah.
Guys, when you put it in the delay, you only put the front of the house or maybe a couple exterior. Is that for a reason or it's just have you gotten ready?
90% of our listings we touch, whether it's to do a stage or to get them to clean up some of their mess. Rarely do we walk through a home where it's ready to go. So on the rare occasions where you do see it go into delayed and we get the pictures in within the next 4 or 5 days, it's because those sellers were buttoned up. Most of the time, we are using that time to get your house ready. But be careful, again, don't remind them of all the stuff that they've got to do as you're trying to secure a listing. I've had that happen before too, where they're just using you to get a price and they want to hear, well, what would you do for staging? Let's talk about that. Oh, you're hiring me. I'm your real estate expert. I've got a stager that handles that. As soon as you become the stager or the handyman or the decorator, you've now lost your power as a negotiator and you're now offering a different service. And that service that you're offering as a decorator or stager or handyman isn't 6% commission. Don't devalue yourself. I do not. I don't do those things. I've got a team that helps me do that because you're hiring me to prospect for buyers for your home. What's that again?
Tips and go with somebody else.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I always dodge that bullet. It's a really good question. My stage and in my listing presentation, we keep it pretty lean. When we talk about staging, the only thing we mentioned the 75% rule. 75% of your shit needs to come out. It's true.
We don't say.
Yeah. Your stuff.
But Hannah, if you get
Oh, this is my favorite part.
a listing in Menominee Falls where you don't usually sell. But it's a client base that you serve.
Yeah.
And when they say, oh, I'm interviewing somebody who's local and can, sells a lot of house locally, why should I pick you?
Question. Let me come show you why. I'm going to get off the phone as quick as I'm going to set the appointment and get off the phone as quick as I can because negotiating my value.
It says it at the table.
Oh, at the table. Oh.
Meeting.
Well, let's talk about that, Mrs. Seller. Based on what I've presented to you and my strategy to prospect and market, as the #1 team in Metro Milwaukee for the last 9 years, did the other agent provide a comprehensive strategy of, and again, I've provided my specific things that I know I do that nobody else does. Did the other agent do those things? Because really what it comes down to in a tight market, if you're in Menominee Falls, no buyer, very few buyers are only searching Menominee Falls. They're searching a large geographic area because they need a house and there's limited inventory. You want to hire the agent that casts the widest net. And if you're an individual agent, let's use that. I'm an individual agent. Is the other agent you interviewed with Keller Williams? No. There in and of itself is the reason why you want to hire me. We're the #1 brokerage in southeastern Wisconsin, growing at a rate double the next closest. We profit share. We're team-based. You want me to put your listing in front of the largest, most productive. Remember, every time you sit at a Tuesday meeting and Charlie talks about how the average KW agent is it 6 times or 10 times more productive? I go to every single Tuesday Charlie meeting because he gives me lots of information to use. So that's what I would say. And I don't care if your house is 200,000 or 2 million. I don't care if it's in Menominee Falls or Mequon. I'm going to prospect for buyers in your market, and here are the things that we do to prospect for buyers.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Did I bore you guys to death? Are you shocked at how old I am?
Thank you.
And I've still been sitting in the back row smirking, so I can't wait to get the recap after.
37, right, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and we're recruiting. If anybody's interested in joining Houseworks Collective. Absolutely. I met you before. Yeah, when Holly brought you. Yes, good to see you. Did you pass?
I'm still in the middle.
It's fun. It is, yeah. No, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
You know. Construction.
Oh, yeah.
Same buyer. Yeah.
Like, is it rented out?
Yeah, she was debating.
Like I said, something else today. And then. Yeah, so when these submitted, if you want like going by on like it's gonna update, so. Oh, so it's it'll.
I'm like going, I'm sure you expect.
Yeah.
So we're not rising with the. And then I do like, East of here.
Right.
But I hear paying attention.
You say that.
Okay. Thank you. So the last one. She's like, we're gonna cut some things in here.
What I would maybe do is go research some rentals around that area and show her, okay, your first floor could get this.
Yeah.
Or she's got any cash history.
She does, yeah.
Then I would do that and remind her that 1% of
Oh, that's fair.
the rent is 1% of the purchase price. So if you're getting
Oh, did they?
4,000 a month, it's 100 grand. So I would start with the rental.
It was over, way overpriced.
And, you know, and I would see what some of these sold. Okay, so these sold, it was 0.75%. Okay, well, your rent's were.
Yeah.